Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on live with Mayor Curran, Ronnie Curran. We are now entering our May episode of What's Happening in Rolesville. So excited to see you again, Mayor, especially in our Military Appreciation Month. So, for those that may have seen our countdown, may have seen some familiar faces in that countdown, we always want to take an opportunity to thank our men and women who have served our country and who are currently serving our country. So we definitely want to make sure they know how much we appreciate them. Isn't that right, Mayor?
That is exactly right, Rachel. And in fact, if we look ahead a little bit, I think it's November. We are planning a special show just dedicated for Veterans Day in November. So, yeah, we always try to include veterans in just about everything we do because if it wasn't for them, we all wouldn't be as free and have the things that we have today without their sacrifice, for sure.
Absolutely, Mayor. And that brings us to our great lineup that we have this evening, looking at having our guest on, one who particularly works a lot with our veterans and has a special program set up for veterans. And then also our guest in the later part of the show that works a lot with making sure that the needs of our community is met and looking at how do we provide those resources for people so that they know how to get assistance when it comes to food security. So that's always something that's important that we want to make sure people know about. And then also in general, Mayor, it's just good to kind of be out again, just kind of doing things and being out in the community. It's great to see Rolesville back open again. We've been talking about that for a while. It's good to see so many activities and events happening around town. It's great to see people out walking. I've seen a lot of people out walking regardless of the weather, I must say. It doesn't matter rain, sunshine, wind, or anything like that. It's great to see people out in the community.
It is certainly great. It's certainly great to see the activities starting back up. If you have not been to the Main Street Farmers Market on Saturday mornings, you are missing a good morning event. So if you haven't done that yet, I recommend doing that. But it's so much stuff that started back. You got high school graduations this month, I think, and it's just an exciting time. It sure is, and I know everybody is really excited about the summer coming up, and being able to just enjoy yourselves. And you're right about the two guests we have tonight. We got so many people in our community that does so much good stuff for our community, and the two young women that's on here tonight are two of the greatest, and they do a lot of good stuff around town. They love that town. And a lot of people I talk to feels the same way. They love Rolesville, and no one loves it no more than these two, for sure. It's good to have both on the show.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and bring on our first guest. We have Tracy, a Dupler, who is with Tracy Dupler Realty Group. Good evening, Tracy.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on the show tonight.
Hey, Tracy.
I really appreciate it.
It's great to have you on the show. I know I talked to you several times about realty, and I think it's some action going on in town. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about that and kind of get a feeling of how we're doing around town. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, and how long you lived here, and what do you find exciting about here, and also maybe a little bit about what you do in real estate.
Sure. So we originally moved from North Jersey. So I grew up right next to New York City. I grew up in a town called Teaneck, and we moved about 5 years ago here to Rolesville. And we just love it here. I've been in real estate for a few years now. And before that, I spent years and years. I don't want to mention how many. It will give you a hint on my age here. But I did spend quite a few years in the medical field. And then I was a stay-at-home mom for a couple years, which, I had the opportunity to stay home with my boys. I have 2 boys. And then I just, I decided, let me follow, something that I had always wanted to try, which was real estate. And I jumped right into it, and I absolutely love it. One of the reasons why I wanted to get into real estate really is because I love where I live. I love Rolesville. I love the Raleigh area. I love Wake County. And I just wanted to get as many people moving here as I possibly could. And I said, well, then why don't I just jump into the industry that actually does that? So that's, it was real estate for me. And like I said, I've loved it ever since I started.
So you're causing all these people to move here. Is that
I
what you're?
am. Yeah, I guess so.
I know. But let's talk a little bit about that. A little bit about Rolesville, and I know you sell homes, market homes across Wake County, and probably a little
Mhm.
bit outside of Wake County. So, do you see Rolesville market as being much different from Wake County, or how do you describe Rolesville market?
So the Rolesville market, we are actually the number one fastest growing town in Wake County right now, and we have been for a while. So Wake County, if it puts you, give you a little perspective here. Wake County has 64 people moving in every day, every single day. So now when you think of Rolesville being the number one fastest growing town in that county, you can just imagine how the real estate here is looking. On a personal level, I have clients that tell me all the time they want to be in Rolesville. I have people that are looking to buy homes here. I always just have people asking about Rolesville. You know, Wake Forest, it's growing so rapidly, and yes, it's a very popular town, but Rolesville is still, it's very small. It's that family feeling. It's very popular in Wake County, and it's highly coveted by many, many people that are moving here.
Yeah, I think it may be so many people moving here. I hear a lot. I'm not in the business
Hmm.
like you are, but I hear a lot about inventory and problems with inventory, and the inventory is not keeping up with the demand pretty much. So, are you experiencing that? Is that true? What's your thoughts on inventory and Wake County and even Rolesville?
Absolutely. So in Wake County and Rolesville, we do have a massive inventory problem. So the Raleigh area is actually the second area in the United States with the worst housing problem right now. We are right behind El Paso, Texas, being number one. But if you think about it, we're the second that has the worst housing problem. So, what does that actually mean? It means that so many people are moving here. There's jobs that are opening, there's big name companies that are coming to this area. We're getting Apple, we're getting Fidelity, we're getting Fujifilm that's coming, and many, many more. Now, they're actually opening jobs that are over 500. So think about those companies that are now opening over 500 jobs. All of those people are now needing to move here. And so there's this big housing shortage because, from COVID, people were not selling their homes, obviously, for very, very valid reasons. But a lot of those people are now still not putting their houses on the market. Builders cannot build these houses fast enough. And now, because we have this housing shortage, what's happening is we have a house with 30 people that are looking at that house. Now we get 25 offers in it. We can only accept one offer on that house. That means that those 24 other people are still house hunting out there. So it's a huge problem. I do encourage anybody that is on the fence about selling, definitely let's have a conversation about that, because we basically need your house. I mean, I'm going to be very blunt. We need you to sell. We need inventory. We are having an influx of so many people coming here per day, and Rolesville is definitely seeing that. And I'm sure everybody can drive around, and if you go past Chandler's Ridge, you go past the preserve at Jones Dairy, you're constantly seeing houses just, being built. And the crazy part is those houses that are being built are already sold. So they're not just building those houses for people to come and look at them and decide to buy. Those are already sold homes. So that's just an indication of how big this housing low inventory situation is.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned about if you have a house, let you know that you will sell it for them. And I would think in today's market, it'll be a lot of people ready to sell. Looks like to me this would be the time to sell, uh, but that's not happening. It doesn't appear, or as you say, the inventory is low. So why is people not selling like they could in this booming
Right.
market?
Right. Well, and there's actually a valid point there is people are not selling because if they're looking now to live in the same area, say they want to upsize, say, they want their children to go to a different school system, or, say they just got a new job out in Clayton and now they need to move out of town, whatever the case may be, they're afraid that they're going to be now a buyer in this market. So a lot of kickback that I do get is, yeah, we'd love to sell, but we don't want to be a buyer in this crazy market now. So, what I try to educate people on is the fact that there's no market where you can sell in the same area and you're selling the same product for a high price, and then you expect to buy in the same area and the same product at a lower price. So yes, you're going to right now make a lateral move, but if you think about it this way, currently we have a 4.91% appreciation rate every year. So an annual appreciation rate of 4.91% on the home that you buy now. So yes, you might need to be in that home for 5 to 7 years before you make any money on it. But you're going to make so much more money on that new home that it's going to pay off in the end. So that's the solution here. A lot of people that I also do help, I help a lot of people that are either moving out of the area completely and they're buying in a totally different market. I had one seller that decided she was going to sell her house and she now lives in a camper and she travels the country. So she made out, like a bandit, basically. So there are other ways that you can sell here in this market and make a good return on your investment. But like I said, if you're a buyer in this market, you just have to realize that it's going to take a couple years before you actually gain that equity back.
Certainly. Yeah, and I think it has something to do with the environment. To me, it feels like people may be a little bit afraid or gunshot to scared to do something. I can give you a personal experience. I had this week. I have a job that I posted in Wilmington for somebody to have, and I got a candidate from Charlotte that been wanting to move to Wilmington for years, to the coast, from Charlotte to the coast. And after talking it over with his wife and family, they decided they won't want to move. It's just too scary for them to take a chance to change jobs and to move. Are you seeing that in today's environment? People are just sort of frozen, in where they're at, and don't want to take a chance, maybe.
Yes, so, some people I am actually, and of course there are going to be those people who, they're in their comfort zone right now. They're content, and then there's the people that are not content and they just up and leave. For instance, I was ready. I was in a position where I said, let's get out of New Jersey. What are we doing here? We're spending all this money on taxes. Our houses are so close together that I can literally shake hands with my neighbor when she's outside. I said, I'm done. And, I think that's the attitude that, a lot of people do have, especially up north. I do know during COVID, they were hit very, very hard. It was very scary up there. So I think it is maybe also a little demographic where there are, those people that are very willing to just get up and leave. Whereas, like you said, with being in Charlotte, they might have just been content. And there are some people like that. But, I feel like I'm living proof here that we took the leap and we literally just bought our house, never lived in Rolesville before. We visited Raleigh a couple times. And I have to say, I left and I never turned back. So I always say, if I could have done it, and I love where I live and I love my life now here, anybody else can do it.
Right. In today's environment, I think I talked to you earlier, you was telling me the interest rates have increased from around 3% earlier to about 5.5%, probably today or as of this week. And I heard on the radio today, a statement was made by someone from Wall Street that's predicting at least 4 half-cents raises by the end of the year, which would put it up in probably the 7s or 8s. So what will happen if interest rates do get to double digits first of next, say, what would 2023 be like with double digit rates, say 10 to 12% rates? What would that do to the market?
So I honestly feel that it's going to slow down the market a little bit. So it's going to slow down the market in the sense that a lot of people that were trying to get an interest rate, say today, between 5.5%, 6%, they're going to be now pre-approved for a certain amount of money. So say, for instance, they're pre-approved for a $400,000 house at a 5.75% interest rate. If they wait until next year and those rates now double, basically, they're now going to be pre-approved for a house that's maybe half that at $200,000. And now with prices going up higher, there's really nothing that you're going to find at $200,000 in this area. So what's happening is, though, that population of buyers are literally being pushed out of the market because now they can't afford to buy. So the actual opposite happened during COVID when interest rates were at an all-time low. Now we were getting a lot of renters and a lot of buyers who never even thought that they could buy before. They were actually qualified to buy homes. So I think it's going to kind of slow the market down, which, again, if people are thinking of selling their home now is the time to sell, because when you're a seller, you have to think like a buyer. So if you're selling your home now and interest rates are where they are at this point, think about now selling and waiting. And now interest rates are double. How many buyers do you really think are going to be at your house? The market is not going to be as crazy as it is. There's not going to be multiple offers on the house. Where today you might have 25 offers on your house, maybe next year in 2023 at 12% interest rate, you might have 5, if that. So, it's just a matter of, when you're selling, think like a buyer. If you're thinking of buying now, get locked into a rate, get a good realtor, me, and then we get you a house now.
Good advice, because probably, in the future, all that extra money you make off of, above what your selling price is probably won't be there anymore.
Exactly.
Be back to, hopefully you can get your asking price for it. Let's change gears a little bit, Tracy. Talk to me a little bit about, Rolesville. What makes Rolesville different than any other place in Wake County, or is it different from any other place in Wake County? Do you as you go around and sell throughout the county, what do you make of Rolesville that you like about it?
Well, I guess I would need more time on this call to really list all of the things that I like about Rolesville. But One thing that I loved when we first moved here, I loved the small community feel. When we went to the first 4th of July parade, I loved it because it just reminded me of a small town and everybody knows each other. I can literally just go to Food Lion or the gas station or the post office and you run into people that you know. There's events here, and even geographically, I can go right down the street and now I'm in the hub of shopping. I'm where I need to be. There's the highway access is fantastic. Downtown Raleigh is 25 minutes away, so it's great. I just love the location. I love the feel of it. I love the fact that I can have such a crazy busy day and then I drive home and I'm in my nice quiet community and it just feels like I'm home. If that makes sense. I just feel home here.
It does. And I think the officials here in Rolesville, myself and the commissioners, have a responsibility to try to protect that or maintain that. So what advice would you give the commissioners going forth to maintain that small town? What's the elements that you look for to get that small town feel?
Well, one thing that I really am excited about, and I've told you this several times, is cobblestone. I'm very, very excited about that. And I love that, the Rolesville Furniture Building is being filled up already so quickly. I think what I would really like to see is more in town spots where we can either walk to, we can dine at, we can shop, just walk around in the evenings. I would love to see maybe a nice ice cream shop here, just things that I picture my kids riding their bikes to different places, hanging out. I picture myself, my husband, my family, my friends, just being able to hang out in Rolesville and just, like I said, have dinner, have a couple drinks, walk around, maybe shop in a couple stores. I would love to see that.
Great, great. Time slips away. Like you said, we don't really have time to get into a lot of this good stuff we want to talk about. But before you leave, I know, Rachel mentioned the veterans at the start of the show. Talk a little bit about what you do, how you connect your business with veterans.
Absolutely. So I am a military daughter. My dad was in the Navy. I come from a long line of military veterans. So I came across this organization. It's actually a real estate brokerage. So they do have a real estate license. It's called Homes for Heroes. I am an affiliate of Homes for Heroes. So I don't necessarily work for them. I work for eXp Realty, but I am affiliated with Homes for Heroes. And what that is it's an organization that was founded after 9/11. And a woman up in Minnesota, she wanted an organization to help heroes. So she classified all of these heroes as firefighters, police officers, EMT workers. There are teachers and military, whether you're active or you're a veteran. All of those heroes are now in this program automatically. All you have to do is sign up. And what it does is it actually gives you a reward. So how it works is if you buy or sell a home with me, as a thank you from me, I give you part of my commission earned from the transaction. So I was touched by this organization. I was looking for something in a way that I could give back to people. And I said, well, what touches my heart enough that I would be willing to give up my earnings? And this just kind of fell into my lap and it was a perfect match. And like I said, I come from a military family. I've had people that, in my family that were teachers, medical staff, and So it was just perfect for me. And I also do add veterinarians into that because our pets are our children too. And they are our heroes. You know, when we have a problem with our dog or our cat or our ferret, you know, they're to the rescue. So I do include veterinarians in that as well.
Wonderful. Well, I see Rachel's back, so I think that's a signal.
I
That
I
you're
did. I do know, Tracy, you had some stats, and I wasn't sure if you wanted to share those just with the numbers related to sales in Wake County and things like that. I can pop those up for you if you want to cover those really quickly so that people can
Okay,
kind of see kind of what
sure.
the market, if they can read those numbers. But if you want to just go over what those market numbers look like to give people an idea of some of the things you were
Sure.
talking about.
Yes. So this is actually for Wake County. So this is an April 2022 market update. So these were homes sold in April. Homes that were listed were 3,572. Homes sold were 1,775. The average sold price was 456,000 and average days on the market was 4. So now I know that, you know, people are looking at numbers and they're like, okay, that's nice. You know, what does that really mean? What it means is that compared to, you know, before COVID, I always joke around and I call it BC. So compared to BC, we were high inventory. Our average sold price was $325,000 for Wake County. Average days on the market back then was 20. So you can see and you can compare what is going on now in our market. Our home prices are going higher. Days on the market are less. Homes are getting sold quickly. And we still have a low inventory situation. So again, just wanted to reiterate, if you are thinking of selling, we really need your house. So for Rolesville market update, back in April of 2022, last month, we had 48 homes listed. Now, that kind of looks like a lot to me. So I personally went in and I said, well, you know what? Low inventory, that looks like a lot. Let me go see what's going on. So that's actually all of our new construction. So 48 homes in Rolesville is actually quite high. And you can see the growth that is happening in Rolesville right there in the numbers because that was mostly new construction. Homes sold were 20. Look at our average sold price. It is higher than Wake County's average. $532,000 in Rolesville. This is something I am just very proud of because it just shows you that we are a highly coveted town just by the average sold price. And days on the market, one day on the market is our average.
I don't think it was one. I think it's a matter of hours.
Yes, basically. Yeah, I think because, you know, we have to put some number in there, right?
Yeah, I think most of the homes, I mean, they're sold even before they even hit it, honestly.
Definitely.
That's kind of
Definitely.
the given. And then
Yes.
the last slide we have with Wake County stats for you.
Yes. See, so these are Wake County stats just to tell you a little perspective on who's moving here, how many people are moving here. So 64 people per day are moving to Wake County, 64 every single day. 225,000 in the last decade have moved to Wake County. And they're moving from Virginia, Georgia, New York, South Carolina, and Florida. And then the secondary group is moving from California, New Jersey, and Texas. So you could see a lot of people are coming in. And you know what baffles me a little bit is that people from Virginia are moving here. And it's, you know, it's kind of, the climate is kind of the same. It's a little, you know, cold in Northern Virginia, but the climate is similar. Look at even South Carolina. So we're having people from states next to us moving here. So that's got to tell you something too.
certainly.
Well, as a person who moved here from Virginia, I will tell you, I came here to go to college. So
There you go.
I love to see those numbers and the locations. And we track a lot of that too in our data and looking at kind of where our web traffic comes from and looking at the area. And the areas are consistent. We're starting to get a lot more. I would love to see how those California numbers change because we've
Mhm.
had a serious influx of people that have moved here from California. I would say definitely since COVID, the numbers have certainly peaked in COVID since we've had them move here. Well,
Yes,
thank you so
absolutely.
much, Tracy. I mean, that's great info. Um, I will tell you, housing market, I know it's crazy. Of course, we had the viral TikTok that happened in this area that really put Raleigh
Yes.
on the market in Wake County in general. And everyone started looking at us because of the line. Mayor, I don't know if you saw it, but the line that was created for this house that was priced in the 200s, wasn't it?
I
It was.
believe it was either, yeah, high twos, low
Mhm.
threes.
It was.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
line, I mean, I think they said it was maybe 30 minutes. It was like the line was ridiculous for the people that had lined up to see the house. But
yes.
we could, Mayor, we could have a whole nother segment on the housing market and the effects of what it has on not only the county, but the community. And then how all of that ties into what we're going to talk about next with Valerie and food security and things like that. So, Tracy, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure. If you would like, you can hang around backstage and we'll bring you back out at the end of the show. I looked at questions. I saw David Dupler posted a comment that said, of course, thanks to all who are listening, and thanked all of our military for their service. So I know he's also on there listening. So I'm going to go ahead and put you backstage so we can get our next guest back on.
Thank
And we can.
Okay.
And Mayor, I will tell you, I know the next one, just knowing the information and the work of this committee and what they do, it's great work. I do work a lot with them when we look at working and reaching out to the community. So I'm so glad that Valerie is able to join us this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on.
Hi.
Hey, Valerie, thanks for coming on. Appreciate that. I know you're a very busy person, working, and you got a young little beautiful daughter that you got to take care of and stuff, and you stay so busy, but still you have time to do volunteer work, which is really amazing. And a big thanks to you for doing that for our community, and such a great cause too. So I wanted to bring you on and let you talk about that a little bit. Some of the great stuff you do with the Northern Community Food Security Team, and just real quick, give us a bio of who Valerie is. How did you get started with the team, and what is the team?
Okay. So, well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and I'm excited to share what we're doing to help the community members in Roseville have access to food. So, the town adopted a food security plan back in March of 2019. And the mayor at the time, Mayor Frank Eagles, asked me if I could help lead the team. So we started, myself, Heather with the town of Roseville, and Frank started holding community meetings to find out what the community needed and how we could connect the resources to the people in need. And the Northern Community Food Security Team, based out of Wake Forest, was instrumental in helping us get started. And so we quickly realized that it would be great if we could combine our resources and work together. So you'll see on the screen, the Northern Food Security Team was created to develop and launch a viable food security plan for Northern Wake County that aligns with the Capital Area Food Network, or CAFN plan. So we work to help the community members, food security organizations, resource experts, and other stakeholders to develop activities, policies, and partnerships that will move the county towards food security and a sustainable food future, which really is a lot that we can sum up within our vision. So our vision is to ensure food access, to communicate and educate. And a large part of that is that there are so many resources in our area that people just aren't aware about. We want to develop a sustainable food supply, build economic opportunities, and lead through networks. So I wanted to tell you guys who's part of the Northern Community Food Security team, and then who's part of our core group. So on the Northern Community Food Security team, there's Kristen Stafford with the town of Rolesville. And a lot of you guys have probably seen her running around during the 4th of July and Fall Fun Fest, because she's in charge of making all of that happen in our town. She's also super busy. She has a daughter who's 1 year old, and she also finds time to help and volunteer with this. So we're so thankful for her. Then myself, Drew Brown with the town of Wake Forest, Ross Yeager with the Northern Regional Community Center, and then Sydney Klein, and she's the Food Security Program Manager with the NC Co-op. And then our core team in Rolesville that focuses on our community's needs. So I mentioned Kristen and myself, and then Sherry. I think Sherry's watching, or I hope she is, because I just want to give her a huge shout out. Mayor, she is amazing. She has a servant's heart. She's a local community member who just really wants to create a meaningful impact in our community. And without her, I don't know what we would do. So I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to Sherry.
Certainly, Sherry. I think I had her on the show a few months ago, and she does the Main Street Farmers Market. A tremendous job there. She works very hard. I know, and you may mention later about giving out the turkeys and stuff, and she was very instrumental in helping us do that, helping the town do that. She works very hard, and I noticed a couple of people on here are very engaged in our community. You got Drew Brown up there. He's going to be coming on in a few months, and he does so much work in Wake Forest, but also Rolesville too. He's in our community, as he has students out at Rolesville High School. So all these people work hard, and really appreciate that shout out that you given them. So you may have covered a little bit, but maybe a little bit. What is your goals? What are you looking at to accomplish, especially in the next phases of this?
Okay. So what's the part that's next? So one, we started a turkey giveaway. And so just to kind of know where that came from. So originally we had a group in Rolesville that would talk with social workers within our local schools and find out how many families needed a turkey for Thanksgiving. But when COVID happened, schools weren't in session, and therefore the social workers just weren't able to have numbers to give us of who needed food over the holiday. So we put our minds together as a team and said, what if we could just give away turkeys? And we coordinated with the Rolesville Police Department, and they were instrumental in being able to get us turkeys. And then we collected funds through local business owners, and Food Lion was great. They gave us gift cards, and we purchased rotisserie chickens for the seniors at the Grands. And then the community, you guys, y'all stepped up in such a big way. We started a food drive for these, what we called Thanksgiving food kits. And y'all went and purchased the items, bagged them for us as a kit. And we had so many kits left over. And by the way, when I say we had over 200 families that we were able to serve with rotisserie chickens or turkeys. And we still had kits left over that we were able to give leftovers not only to New Bethel. We had so many that we were also able to give them to Richland Creek. And that leads us into like the next thing that we're going to keep doing, because our community is so helpful and we knew you guys would do that again and be helpful. We said, what about in 2021 if we also give away free hams? And so we got together and we talked to pretty much every business here in Rolesville and collected enough money to give over 60, I think it was 67 hams. No, yes, 67 hams that we were able to give away and feed to families in need. And we also had enough fixing kits from the food drive for the turkeys. So I'm always overwhelmed by our community, and it is a constant, it's brought up constantly during our meetings that how generous the Rolesville community is. So we definitely want to continue those two things. We also had a pop-up event through Note in the Pocket, and they gave away free clothing. And though that may not directly be tied with food, one would think it does, because it frees up resources that would have went to get clothing so that they could use those resources towards purchasing healthy and nutritious food for their families.
Great. I agree with you. It's just so much going on. And also you did all this. If I remember the timeline, we started doing this a little bit before the pandemic, but you guys kept it going through the pandemic. Really, probably the time it needed the most, and also the time that was kind of scary because people were saying, "Don't get out there, don't go nowhere, don't stay in your house." But you guys didn't miss a beat hardly during the pandemic.
Yeah, we didn't. I will tell you that I felt like we were thrown into the deep end. We had just started in March of 2019. We had met with the community and we were starting to develop a plan based upon the feedback we had received. And then COVID hit. And so all of that planning stopped. Kristen and I started being part of weekly meetings and sometimes even multiple meetings during the week to figure out how we could coordinate and help get food to those in need. And there was such a need. People had lost their jobs. You know, kids that were going to school and getting food from schools no longer had that access, especially through the Backpack Buddies program. And so there was a huge need, and we had to try to figure out how we could partner with organizations to help meet that need. And so for our area in particular, we coordinated and transported fresh produce and non-perishable items to local communities. And the fresh produce is key because a lot of places that you can get food, it's all non-perishable. And so one of our goals is to make sure that people have access to healthy and nutritious food. And that part of that is milk and fresh produce. So we were able to do that. Most people know that you could go to schools and pick up lunch. Well, there are large pockets of communities in our area that they simply don't have the transportation to get to the school to pick up lunch. So we started coordinating with other organizations, and big shout out to Village Church Rolesville, who stepped up with some other community members and brought those lunches from the school to those communities. And then we were able to give the Grands a lot of help, which is a senior community in our area. We were able to connect them with New Bethel to bring them food. We were able to coordinate fresh produce deliveries to the Grand. And then also the Interfaith Food Shuttle has an amazing program that not only helps provide meals and groceries, but also offers connections to seniors who may have felt isolated. So we were so excited to be able to do that. And then again, that's where that turkey, the free turkey giveaway started, and then the community food drives. We were able to help restock New Bethel's food pantry. And then we were also able to help restock the middle school food pantry as well.
Great. It's amazing how you kept those things going through the pandemic and didn't miss a beat on that. Before we leave food security, what if somebody's listening and they want to get involved? How would they do that? How can they help?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you asked this question, Mayor, because we need your help. And we are in desperate need of local community members who are passionate about helping and serving others and want to create a meaningful impact in our community. We have resources and connections to nonprofits to do certain things within Rolesville, but we need volunteers to help us organize and lead those events. So the two that are top of mind for our team is free food giveaways. So we had an organization that no longer meets in Rolesville that worked with the food bank, and they would get a truckload of fresh produce and other non-perishable items, and we would advertise it to the entire community, and people could come and get that food. We would love to do that again, but like I mentioned, that organization no longer meets, but Sherry is very familiar with it, and she could help make those connections to make that happen. And then there's another program called Porch. And what this is it is led by a team of youth and with help from their parents. And you would advertise in your community, so your neighborhood, and you would say, all right, we're going to pick up non-perishable items off of your, from your front porch on the third Saturday of each month. And they would remind people, and then they would go coordinate, pick up those items, and then they would give it to a charity that needed it. And so we have charities that need that, but we need someone, again, to organize and lead it. I am friends with Renee, who leads one of those in a community in Wake Forest, and her boys would love to help that get started in Rolesville. So if that is something that you are interested in, Rachel has a link to the Rolesville Food Security page, and there is a button that you can click that says that you want to volunteer. And that can be if you want to lead, or hey, I just want to know when events are coming that I can help with. Maybe I don't want to lead, but I just want to be, boots on the ground to help with different events. And the last part is, we would love to hear from you guys on what you would like to see happen in Rolesville and the needs that are out there. So you'll see on this slide that we're going to have a meeting on June 14th at 6 p.m. at the Rolesville Community Center. And we want you to be there, and we want to brainstorm how we can help those in need in our area.
That's great. It's amazing the work that you guys do. And I know there's others in town that would love and are looking for ways to get involved in things. So, and I don't know of anything really that's could be much more important than feeding people. And I really commend you for that. Now, I do want to change gears a little bit. I invited you on here several months ago to talk about the security food team, but I don't know if people picked up on those three little letters after your name, CFP. But our financial environment is in the newspapers every day, on TV every day, and things are changing very quickly. And I can't let this opportunity go without asking you a few questions about the financial environment we're in today. And you probably heard us talking to Tracy a little bit about interest rates going up and things like that. Just maybe introduce yourself from I guess your paying job, and maybe a little bit about, if I read the newspapers and watch the TV, interest rates are rising, inflation is rising at a big rate, bonds are bad. If you got bonds, you're losing money, and the market went down again today. I think it goes down just about every day. So what's going on? What, being in that business, what's really happening now?
Okay. Well, so I'm a certified financial planner with Edward Jones, and my office is right here in town on Rogers Road. And, I transitioned from working in a wealth division at a bank to opening a practice with Edward Jones because I was passionate about partnering with people within our local community. And I love that the model is that I have the freedom to, work with the community and be part of the community. It was a huge, like when I was looking for somewhere to work, I wanted that to be a part of it. And so I'm right here in town, and I'm very passionate about helping people in our community. And I especially like helping and serving women and their families, whether they're married, divorced, single, widowed. I love partnering with folks, and I can help them shift from a place of worry and frustration about their financial situation to a place of empowerment and security by helping them create a personalized strategy to help them meet their goals. And this ties right into your question, what's going on with the market? And you just listed a string of bad things that you're concerned about, right?
Right.
And so let's but I will say there are good and there are bad. So let's hit just high level on some of the things you just mentioned, right? The highest inflation in 40 years. And what's that doing? That is decreasing your purchasing power, right? So you feel it, right, Mayor, when you go and get gas or you go to the grocery store, right?
That's right.
That's right.
In fact, I think I heard today on the news that the buying power in this month, or maybe even the last few months, went down 2.75%. So you're not, if you get a raise of 3%, you're just breaking even. If you don't, you're losing money by working.
Yeah, it is definitely being felt. And that's why we see the Fed increasing interest rates, right? And they're going to keep increasing interest rates until they can get inflation under control. And because they keep raising interest rates, we've seen the worst bear market in bonds in modern history, which you just mentioned, right? And so what does that mean? It means depending on the kind of bonds you have in your portfolio and the quality, you may have seen as much losses in your bonds as you have in your stocks. And that's really abnormal, which shifts into also people's confidence in the market, right? That has come down. And so what we've seen is a rotation from growth investments over to higher quality, more value-based investments. And how that relates to you is, and everybody else, is that the investments that have been real winners in the past have not been winners this year. And they may not be winners in the future. But I have good news, Ronnie. there are some good things that are happening. So one, that rotation, that transition from growth over to value for the clients that we work with that have those high quality portfolios haven't felt near the pain as other folks that have done more speculative side of investing. And the fact that interest rates have risen and they're continuing or going to continue to rise, that means that these bonds, a lot of these bonds have already felt a lot of pain that and that they've already felt. So like the bond market, there are some analysts that have said, hey, the bond market has already put into their price 11 increases. So that's why we've seen them drop so quickly. And so we feel like there are some bonds out there that are pretty safe and maybe a good part of your portfolio. And then the general economy, it is strong. We have strong corporate earnings and we have strong consumers that make up 70% of the economy's growth. So you may have seen that with the consumer has saved over, has higher net worth statements than ever. And they have the lowest debt to income ratios in over 30 years. And remember, that makes up 70% of the economy's growth.
Well, that's good to hear. There is some good news because, if you listen to TV and radio, you don't really hear anything great. So that's good to hear. I guess, talking to Tracy, we talked about some people are just frozen in place. They don't know what to do or where to turn to. In today's environment, what do you recommend? I mean, is this not the time to set good goals to really look at your financial situation rather than just, I guess you could just check out?
Yeah. And that's a really great question. So I'm going to answer it twofold. One, so we live in a world where there is no shortage of broad general financial advice. And why I think it's important to work with an advisor is I know my clients. I know what is important to them. I know what concerns them, and I know the goals that they want to achieve. And so this allows me to provide specific advice, create personalized strategies, which help give them confidence in meeting their goals and peace of mind in times like these. But here's the other part that you just mentioned, like, what do you do? So I mentioned there's a lot of good things going on. There's a lot of bad things going on. And that means that your financial situation and your portfolio need to be looked at. So some of those things you may need to hold on tight to. There are other things that probably need to have action taken on. And so I'll give you an example. I had a client that just came to us. And they've only been working with me for a few months. And as I was bringing everything over, we were able to take action on their portfolio, and we were able to save them over $12,000 on taxes next year. And in doing that, we were able to give them a higher quality portfolio that gives them the confidence to sleep at night.
That's really good, because there are ways, even into the way we see the news, portraying the financial environment. There are ways to still maneuver through it and come out the other side. Better you probably would be than just do nothing and hope for the best, right? Mm-hmm. A plan is better than no plan.
Yes. And, it is so important to have goals. I was talking with one of my peers the other day, Ronnie, and he was telling me about a call that he had got back in March of 2020 when the market was down 35%. And his client called him and said, and he was grief-stricken. He was completely panicked. And he said, I don't think I'm going to be able to retire. I'm just going to have to keep on working because of what the market's doing. And if you guys haven't, I'm sure, Ronnie, you've seen that in the news, right? Where the news is saying things like that. And so, folks, I had 7 clients that retired during the pandemic. And I want to back up to my friend Edward Jones. He was able to go back to that client and say, remind him of their strategy. And he was able to retire, and everything is great. And so when we are working with people, we know what their goals are. And so, like I said, 7 people that retired during the pandemic. One of them, I called her and I said, hey, tell me, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And I'm expecting, like, Valerie, I'm scared, those types of things, right? She giggled, Ronnie. She giggled. And she said, Valerie, I saw the news and I just said, this is that bear that Valerie's been talking to me about for the last 5 years. And the thing is that that's why that goal was so important. Well, her and I had been working together for years and years, and we had a plan in place so that we could make sure that no matter what the market was doing, that she could retire. And so we were able to take that risk off of the table, which gave her the peace of mind and the confidence and the freedom and the flexibility to do what was in her best interest and to do what was important to her, which was spend time with her grandbaby.
That's great. That's great to hear that, you get them in a situation that they're not calling you, you having to call them and ask them if everything is okay. And that's really great. Well, Valerie, appreciate this information. Thank you for sharing a little bit with us some of your thoughts. How would somebody contact you if they're interested in talking to you? What do you recommend?
Well, you can feel free to stop by. Like I said, my office is right on Rogers Road. And then I believe Rachel has my contact information and a link to my website.
Great. Yep, you're right over there in where I guess all the pizza places are, right? So you pick up a pizza and drop by and see you. But
That's right.
Thanks for coming on tonight. And do you have anything closing you want to say? And maybe Rachel come back and maybe some questions from out there some people may have.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions. And I want to thank you for the opportunity just to be here and especially share about what's going on with the community and food security and how people can get involved, because we really do need some volunteers. So
Great.
Well, Mayor, I will tell you, I've worked with this committee quite a few times, and a lot of the work that we've done and has happened in the community. And Valerie's absolutely correct. Our late Mayor Frank Eagles was a huge part in a lot of the stuff that we did, and kind of pushed the button and drove a lot of what was happening here in Rolesville. So I will tell you, it's great work that's done. Drew, as she mentioned, does a yeoman's job, honestly, of what he does for food security. So I'm definitely happy about that. I'm going to go ahead and bring Tracy back also, just to kind of be a steward of time here, and looking at, seeing if there are any last minute comments. Nothing on our end as far as to show in from comments or anything like that from people. I love when people go back and watch the show and will see me in town and ask questions there when they see me at Food Lion or something like that. But someone caught on that I wear the shirt that's in the billboard or in the advertisement. I make sure I wear the same colors. It makes it easily to recognize me sometimes, although it plays in my favor and sometimes it doesn't. But, just want to give the last minute opportunity. Tracy, any last minute things you want to let us know, or Valerie?
I just wanted to add, if anybody did have any questions, they don't feel like, putting it on here, you can always call me. My cell phone is posted all over the place. And I'm sure there you go, right there. I still have a New Jersey number, but I am full-blown Southern now. So you can also email me. I'm also on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. My handle is @the-super-duper-realtor. So you could follow me on social media as well.
Wonderful.
Well, I just want to say for all of those, definitely thank you for watching and joining us tonight for those who may view later online, but also just of some things that Mayor just want to highlight a couple of events that are coming up that we always want to share with people so that they know what's happening next month. For the month of June, who we will have on the show. Mayor, I'll let you give a brief introduction or tell us who's going to be on the show in June.
Yeah, we having two really people from the community that continues to do this volunteer work, and they both have some nonprofit organizations. And Michelle Roberts, I've got to know this young woman for several years now, and her mom has this organization that really helps kids, try to help educate kids, not only local but throughout the world. And I'm very excited to have her on. She has a close connection with New Bethel Baptist Church here in Rolesville, and she's going to be very exciting. And many of you may know Lisa Kane. She has an organization that we're going to be talking about. Lisa does a lot of things around Rolesville. She is in real estate. We may ask a few questions about that if we can sneak them in. And also, she's sort of the charter founder of one of our charter schools, and so she does a lot of things. And we're very excited about having both of these young women on our show next month.
That's what I said next week, Mayor. Woo! But
Yeah.
we do have coming up next week, since you mentioned that, is our Military Appreciation Luncheon. This is a luncheon that is sponsored by the town and the chamber that recognizes a lot of our heroes in uniform, retired, anything like that. Not only do we honor those in uniform, we honor their families too. So if you are a spouse or a child or anything like that, we give you an opportunity to come to this event. This is a free event. It does not cost you anything. You do have to register because we do feed you. So we ask that you register so we can know how many people are going to be there so that we can provide food for you. But I will tell you, this year we plan on doing, if you have not submitted it, you can submit information if you want to recognize or acknowledge someone. They do not have to live in Rolesville, but you can submit their info, and there's just general info that we ask of them, like their name and what branch and things like that. And if you have a photo, submit the photo too, but they will be honored doing our actual appreciation luncheon too. So that is something that we have coming up that we're really excited about. And then our last event, well, not the last one, I'm telling you about another one, but we have a business expo. We have not had an expo in years. I don't even remember, Valerie or Mayor, when the last time we had an expo in Rolesville, but we're excited about this. It is on June 30th. It will be at Rolesville Baptist Church in their Family Resource Center. Great opportunity to come through. We're planning some things for families to be able to come out and enjoy, things for kids to do, looking at face painting and other things. So something, so, we know June 30th for some are going to be out of school and some may be in school, but definitely some activities and things like that we want to make sure that the community is aware of, because we are trying to host more things face to face. And then Tracy this month is hosting a ribbon cutting and business after hours at Greenway Beer and Wine. That is at 5:30. So if you're available to come out on May 26th, join us. We will be at Greenway celebrating her and her business and all that she has to offer our wonderful town of Rolesville. So, Mayor, I think that concludes like all of my updates and things like that I have for the evening. I'll turn it back over to you.
A lot of things are happening, Rachel. A lot of things are happening, and I'm really excited about the summer coming up, and all the things that we'll be doing then. But we in overtime again. We seem like the last few shows we've gone way over 8 o'clock, and But you know, we get talking about this stuff with these great guests. You can't stop. It's just so much to talk about. And I really want to thank both Tracy and Valerie for coming on tonight. Great job. Good educational stuff. Good sharing your thoughts on town. Appreciate you coming on, both of you.
Well, and
Thank
we
you.
appreciate everything that you guys do. We know that you both work hard to serve our communities, and we're just thankful for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for those watching online and for those that view us later, thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate it. Have a great evening.
See you later.
Thank you.